A bit about we found out that one protester actually passed away because of the protest yesterday. Can you just expand on that for us?
Well, police have confirmed that one person has been killed yesterday, but the situation surrounding his death are very sketchy, I must confess. Putting on the first call to the police, they confirmed that this this protester was part of a group that were trying to flee from a scene when police were responding to that. And they got into a car, and a car eventually hit a pole, and that person died in that situation. But then they also retracted, saying that they were actually part of an armed robbery. So that situation is quite sketchy. We are still trying to get, concrete sort of information, reliable information from the police as to what actually led to the death of this protester. But we are, clearer on one thing, is that one person has died here in Mahikeng, and it has something to do with the protest. But police were quite sure when I spoke to them yesterday, saying that they did not have a hand necessarily in the death of this person.
Also, talk to us about some of the community members who have been reportedly arrested, up to 9 or so. They've been arrested. Do they appear in court soon?
That number has subsequently increased, as you can imagine. We are sitting on 16. That was the last tally from the police. Where I'm stationed right now, this is exactly where the running battles were taking place last night. We were about a few meters away from this area where we could just hear the sirens, see the sirens, hear the screaming, hear the stun grenades, hear the rubber bullets that were being fired. Police really did have their hands full here. Just the aftermath on the ground is quite evident. I'm just going to move across so you can see what is happening right here. This road is leading to a section we believe it's called Unit 4, and Unit 4 really is residents of Unit 4 reliant on this road to make their way out of towards Mahikeng. But as you can see, a fence has been placed just in front of this area here. So the road blockages continue to be widespread here. We're talking about rubble, we're talking about signposts that have been used. Motorists are trying to navigate their way around. Some motorists who are obviously wanting to go to work are doing so as early as they can before the protesters, start again. And this is exactly what we see in many protests that we cover over the years, is that there's a bit of a break period, which is usually right now, and protests seem to heat up just after that. So as the sun really rises here in Mahikeng, we are going to just tally as to how extensive the damages have been. We know that a cultural village was burnt a few kilometers away from here, where a cultural village was burnt. We know that a bottle store was looted. We know that Mega City, which is a shopping center here in Mahikeng, just very close to Mababatu, that place was also looted. And this is where police also had their hands full, really firing those rubber bullets and those stun grenades, trying to get those protesters away, back them away, really. But of course, those protesters are relentless, as we know that this protest, where we understand is calling for the resignation of the Premier, has subsequently turned violent and criminal.
Now, community members were threatening to actually march to the home of the embattled Northwest Premier. Are you expecting that to happen today? Do you think they will stick to that?
Well, protesters here are quite unpredictable, as you can imagine, Tony. One thing is that they are everywhere. They are on all sides of Mahikeng. Just as entering into the town was quite a mission yesterday because of all the road stoppages and road blockages. I mean, at one point we were made to pay 20 Rand just to access into this part of town. But there's no telling what these protesters will do. They are obviously complaining about service delivery on the ground. And it is quite clear that some of the concerns are quite genuine, because the services here are quite, everything but appalling, because just the magnitude of the roads, the state of the roads that are here, the lights that are not working. We are also told by residents that we spoke to yesterday that they do not have such basic things like health services, schools, and sanitation. So it is those very things that the residents are calling for, saying that the Premier, who they believe is in charge of them, has really disappointed them since he's been been at the helm in 2014. So we're yet to see what action they'll take today, if they will indeed stick to their promise as to going to the businesses, the business interests that we are told that are attributed to the Premier as well, that we know that they will be targeted as well. So police are on standby, police are on hand. We know that the TRT as well as the public order policing have been roped in from as far as Pretoria.
All right, thanks so much, Lirandzu Themba, reporting to us live there from the streets of Mahikeng in the northwest.